Well. Jake, my
Geez.
friend, what do you have to say for yourself now? Oh boy, you had picked the Bears to win in our weekly picks video, and now look at you. Now look at you, my friend. You're a
I'm the
mess.
laughing
You're a
stock
mess.
of this channel. I understand. I understand. But
Yeah.
hey, maybe if I pick against the Titans, they might start reeling off some wins. So I don't
Maybe
know.
we
We
might
might
have
have a
found something.
strategy here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We'll at least have an elite defense if you decide to pick against us.
We will
Um,
get into that. We will get into that. While yes, you love to see the Titans win, and it was, the game was more lopsided than the final score may have showed,
yeah.
as only a 7-point win, but they were, obviously blowing the doors off the Bears. I don't think it's all roses and sunshine, Justin, as we'll get into it.
Okay.
And
All
the
right.
Bears
I
have a
agree.
really, really bad offense, and I think that kind of factored into it. But man, it's like shooting hoops, and you're brick, and you see one go in, and then maybe you start making some after you see one go in. I'm hoping we get that kind of scenario with this Titans defense.
All right. Good analogy.
Thank you.
Um,
Thought
oh,
about that one
appreciate it.
yesterday.
Okay, nice. Yeah, Titans get the win 24-17 at home against the Bears, 24-3. But even when it was 24-3, I felt like it still doesn't even feel that close. Like that's how much just we controlled the ball on the defensive line or controlled the line of scrimmage unbelievably well. Like even, I mean, it's weird to think even last week, this is what they should have been doing last week against Cincinnati, but we couldn't get any kind of push. It was the same old story as the whole season's been. So really against Chicago, how could we expect to get this kind of control at the line of scrimmage? But man, Big Jeff, there's so many shout outs to give, but I mean, the first one that comes to mind for me is Big Jeff, dude. He is just
an absolute, he is a wrecking ball. There's no way to describe him, but he's a wrecking ball. He's all over the field. He's athletic as hell. He's making plays,
he's a
batting
game
balls.
changer.
I
Yeah.
wish he came up with the diving interception so
Dude,
bad.
he would have filled
I
up
wanted him
the
to grab it
whole
so bad.
He would have filled up the whole stat line. He would have had I don't know if did he have a sack? I know he had like a tackle for loss, but he had a few tackles. He had a batted pass. He had a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. So then if he could have gotten that interception, like no one has that kind of a game as a defensive lineman. That's insane. Yeah, there's just a point in the game where you expected him to cause havoc, like every time, every snap. He would be back there making a difference, and it was happening every single snap. There was a time, I think maybe it was on one of their touchdown drives, or no, it was the one where he almost intercepted the pass. But I think, remember when they tried the shovel pass, and he just blew the offensive lineman back so far that the guy that was supposed to get the shovel was completely disrupted on that route. And then I think he had a tipped pass on that drive too. Like, dude, he just completely took over.
You love to see Jeff Simmons be that, the guy. Yeah, we had to wait a year with that ACL injury to get him. He had some question marks, maybe a red flag coming in the draft. But wow, was John Robinson correct on that call, picking Jeff Simmons? It was always kind of like, hold on, be patient. He's going to be great. He's going to be great. And he, so far in his second year, has played only pretty great for the Titans.
Yeah, dude, that pick and then getting A.J. Brown, like he's just home run in that draft 2 years ago in Nashville. I wish we could have drafts in Nashville every year because I think that gives J-Rob the home field advantage in picking players.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, dude, I was just so excited to talk about Jeff Simmons. But if we got to start with this whole defensive performance. I mean, pitching a shutout in the first half. And of course, we're always keeping in mind that we are going against a struggling Bears offense. So of course that is going to have a lot to do with it. But this defense has struggled against struggling offenses this season. So it's just so good to see a positive performance. Like what do you attribute that to? I mean, surely some of it does have to do with Beasley getting cut and Joseph getting cut. Seeing Desmond King, huge impact play right off the bat in a Titans uniform. Getting consistent pass rush. Roberson was in there now, and I thought he was making a difference. He came up with, I had it marked down, 4 tackles and a batted pass. So that's more than Vic Beasley gave us through the first 7 games of the season, I feel like. So I don't know, how do you feel about this defense right now going forward? I'm suddenly super confident. I hope I'm not reacting.
I wouldn't say super confident, just because I do
Tone it
think
down.
this Bears offense is really, really bad. No, you can. Yeah. I understand the excitement. I felt the excitement yesterday. Wow, we have a competent defense, because these are the offenses that the Titans defense should be beating up on. And it was that, like I said, it was good to see, a shot go in. It was good to see them stop third downs consistently. The stat of the day obviously was Bears were 2 for 15 on third down. And it blows any Titans fan's mind. Like, you didn't expect the defense to be that successful coming in.
Yeah, the third down conversions, it was just a complete flip. Like, I can't believe we started the game, they started 0 for 8, or maybe it got to 0 for 10 at one point. It's like, it was ridiculous. We were, of course, the stat that we joke about is the Titans have to get 49 straight third down stops in order to get to the league average, and they look like, oh my god, they're kind of on track.
That counter was going down. Yeah. They might do it.
Yeah, that'll help our average regardless. But yeah, incredible, and the number of 3 and outs that they forced was unbelievable. Like, I had great confidence in the defense, and it helps with the pressure. I think the pressure was there, and Nick Foles is a quarterback that does not handle pressure very well. So. He was off. Nick Foles, man, he's not it. He threw some ducks out there. It was looking ugly for him in that offensive line the whole game.
For sure. And, going back to the cuts thing throughout the week, I don't know if this lights a fire under this team. I don't know if this defense, they did seem to come out with some energy. The Bears did get, I think, 2 first downs on that first drive, and then they were stopped on the 4th and 1. And that defense was fired up. They came out like a cannon. And so I want to shout out the next guy up kind of things, because, you alluded to Vic Beasley being cut. Derek Robertson coming in his relief had a pretty good game. You look at, Jonathan Joseph getting cut. Desmond King comes in, splash impact play. He did get beat once on that wheel route to the sideline. But other than that, they didn't really throw his way much, Justin. And that's a good indication that Desmond King is doing his job a lot better than Jonathan Joseph was, because they were throwing Jonathan Joseph's way every single time.
Yeah, right.
Desmond King makes number 33 for the Titans look a lot better. He looks a lot better than 33.
Big fan of number 33 now.
Than Joseph. And I wanted to shout out Breon Borders from the practice squad, playing opposite Malcolm Butler. He played 100% of the snaps in this game. All 77 defensive snaps he was on the field. Wow. He ended up with 9 total tackles. And they were kind of targeting him a little bit. I think he only allowed maybe 50 or 60 yards in that neighborhood. So no big plays. Hell of an effort. Yeah, hell of an effort from a guy who's getting elevated from the practice squad like 3 days before the game or something like that. So shout out to that next man up mentality. I think it speaks to the culture that the Titans are trying to implement, with the kind of burned earth. Nothing's working, so let's get these guys who aren't producing out of the way. Let's get in these new guys who maybe can produce a little bit. And they came in and they did their jobs, and it was great to see. Yeah,
man, absolutely. Super impressed, I guess, or just how, like you said, the next man up, and with Borders coming in, and like he just came in and did his job, and he never really stood out in a bad way at all. Like, sure, you're going to give up passes, and that's just the NFL. Same thing with Desmond King. I mean, but still, you love the energy that he's bringing, that they're both bringing, that this whole defense is bringing. Maybe it did light a fire. Hopefully, not literally.
Hopefully.
I know Vrabel like kind of downplayed that when he was asked, like, sending a message, and he's like, no, we make moves to win football games. Or no, I think J-Rob said that. But I think he maybe unintentionally also sent a message, because it just looked different. And again, looking at these tackles in this box score, I'm super impressed by the amount of tackles by the front 7 being so active. Daquan Jones, shout out Daquan Jones.
Huge game. He had a great game.
All game, 7 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and a half sack. That's a pretty hefty load for a defensive lineman. Normally lines up in the interior, I think, or I guess he's more of an end, I guess. But and I also wanted to shout out, Harold Landry 4 tackles, Roberson 4 tackles. Of course, Landry got a sack as well. And who else? There's somebody else that played.
Jayon Brown, I thought probably played his best game of the year.
He did or didn't?
He did. I thought he played one of his better games of the year. He did have that rocky start, but it seems like he's been bouncing back. I think he was the leading tackler with 10 total. He had the sack. He had the tackle for loss. He had the forced fumble. He had a big Jeff-like game in that, you might hit the cycle and hit every spot on the stat sheet here. It was pretty impressive. And you love to see that from a guy who had, Pro Bowl level expectations coming into the season.
Yeah. I mean, he set a high standard for himself. I think it was his rookie year when he was getting a bunch of sacks, and I think he got was that the game at the week 17 against the Colts, and it was win and get in, and we had to start
back to back, splash plays, and
he got a pick six, he got a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. Like, he was kind of keeping us in the game. I want to say that was his rookie season, but regardless, I agree. I think he is getting better and better. He was kind of starting off shaky, not really even showing up on the stat sheet a whole lot either. But yeah, he's finding I think he's leading the team in tackles right now. So, or it could be Rashawn Evans. I don't know. One of those guys probably is. But Jayon Brown getting better as the season goes on. Love to see that. So the defense, it seems like it all came together for this one game, and hopefully it continues. Got to keep an eye out for Adoree Jackson too, because that's going to be exciting to get him back.
This defense, if they have that fire going and they're playing with this kind of energy, there is the asterisk. I got to keep bringing it up. It was against the Nick Foles and the hapless Bears offense,
right?
But it was so fulfilling to see them, dominate a team on defense that they should be dominating defensively. So it was great. It was awesome. And looking forward to the Colts, they're going to need a repeat performance there, I think, because the Colts are kind of a better Bears team, if you will, because they have that stout defense. They're probably a little more competent on offense.
Yeah, better offensive line for sure.
The offensive line is better offensive line for sure. But you're going to need to see another repeat high energy performance from this defense. And what we're not going to need, Justin, to maybe change gears a little bit, is a repeat performance from this offense that we had on Sunday, because this offense was very stagnant, very slow moving, very predictable early.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of excuse me. It was excuse me again. It's kind of like the Bengals game last week when starting out slow, not able to put points on the board. Well, I think Gostkowski missed a field goal or something early on, but thankfully this time around the defense was able to lock down the opposition, because the Bengals were coming down the field and scoring, and so we were playing catch up the whole game. But thankfully we had the Bears offense to contain, which was a much easier thing to do. So we were able to pitch that first half shutout. But that made it, it still felt like we were in control of the game because of that. But you were just waiting for the offense to finally, break through. We were going up against a great Bears defense, but we have confidence in our offense to be able to move the ball no matter what. We have some great weapons, and Arthur Smith is a great play caller. So you're expecting them to break through at some point. And thank God for A.J. Brown, dude. He was the offense in the first half.
Yes.
Man, just like 3 catches in the first half and almost 100 yards in that beautiful touchdown pass from Tannehill. If it weren't for him, we would be looking at a 0-0 tie going into half, because I think his other big catch was the one that put us in field goal range.
Correct.
First field goal. So, and Henry, it was a slow going day for Henry. Hard to find room for him. So you're just waiting for one of those two guys to get going, passing or running, and it just never really got there, except for those few A.J. Brown plays.
And early, I think I have it in my notes, the first 2 drives were I guess the second drive was the field goal drive, but 2 out of the first 3 drives were the 3 and outs of incomplete. You run on 2nd and 10, which makes me pull my hair out because I hate the 2nd and 10 run, especially with a guy like Derrick Henry. You line up in the I formation with 3 tight ends. Of course, you're giving the ball to Derrick Henry. So then you get 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. And then we get incomplete pass, punt. We did that twice. It was a broken record early. It was looking like exotic Smash Mouth all over again, Justin. It was predictable, and it was drab. And I mean, just like you said, you made the point. Thank God for A.J. Brown. And it's time to call him elite, I want to say. It might be a fan bias coming in there, but I don't think it's wild to call him a top 10 wide receiver in this league.
I mean, as Titans fans, and not everybody across the NFL watches all Titans games like we do, but we watch him play, and we can confidently say this guy's pretty much unstoppable. It
Yeah.
looks like it with his run after catch ability. He doesn't drop passes. By the way, I do want to mention Corey Davis, not a good game because he had a bad drop that when our offense was trying to get something going, Tannehill gave him the pass. I think it would have been a third down conversion and uncharacteristic drop from Davis there. So, I mean, maybe that was just a few things that was throwing us really out of rhythm. Maybe if we convert that, then we get things going. But regardless, yeah, it sucks to see that from Davis. He's one of my favorite players on the team.
I mean, no doubt. I
have confidence in him.
Just looking at the stat sheet, we've talked about in the past, like this bad defense forces the offense to be perfect, which they usually have been able to do. I mean, the Titans are 6-2. They've been winning ball games in spite of their defense because their offense has been so good. Well, Ryan Tannehill completed only 10 passes yesterday, Justin, for 158 yards. It looked like a playoff game last year from Tannehill, except for Derrick Henry didn't have 600 yards in a game.
Right.
So, A.J. Brown really pops on that stat sheet, 4 catches for 101 and then the great touchdown. I will give credit where credit is due with Tannehill. He did take a couple of sacks yesterday. Though that Bears front seven is going to get sacks. I think regardless of who you're using to block them and things, they're just pretty good on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
But A.J. Brown pops off the stat sheet, and credit where credit is due. Tannehill put that ball literally in the breadbasket for A.J. Brown. It was a beautiful throw, beautiful catch, beautiful effort to get in the end zone there. All around great play. And that was pretty much the entire offense outside of another A.J. Brown catch earlier.
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith got involved.
Oh,
sorry,
go ahead. Or I was going to say, Tannehill also had a beautiful, perfect ball. Again, going back to Corey Davis, down the near sideline. And it was too perfect because he had a defender right there. He needed it to throw it like 8 inches further. And that would have been a better ball for Davis. So, yeah, Tannehill was putting it on the money whenever he had his chances. I would say, I think you said this, the sacks against him, that's kind of a thing that we're kind of starting to see. And I would probably blame at least 2 out of those 3 sacks on Tannehill for holding on to the ball too long. Like you saw it. You saw the pocket collapsing. It was collapsing in front of him. And it's like, dude, don't you see this? You gotta do something, make a play, and then
step up and get rid of it or something.
That's something I would like to see Tannehill improve on, hopefully. But yeah, going back to Jonnu Smith, kind of a disappearing act the past couple games, but
no kidding. I wrote in my notebook that I have for the games. Where is Jonnu? Where is he? He's not even targeted in this game. He's not. I haven't even really seen him on the field. And then of course I wrote that down, and like 2 plays later, he gets the long one to set up the 1st and goal from the 2, and then he caught the touchdown afterwards.
Right on cue.
But you would like to see, especially with Art Smith being, the guy as the offensive coordinator, to get the ball to Jonnu Smith more times than twice in a game. Get him more targets than 2. Maybe try and invigorate the screen game that has disappeared from our offense. Maybe throw him one of those slip screens that he, catches and takes off for with that incredible yards after catch ability. Jonnu Smith is too great of an athlete and too fast and too much of a weapon to only get 2 targets, I think. I mean, he did end up showing up on the stat sheet and scoring a touchdown. But for the majority of this game and majority of the games we've seen this so far this year, Justin, he's been kind of a disappearing act. I know he's been kind of hampered with a lingering, I think it's a leg injury of some kind. But you would love to see Jonnu Smith get the ball a little more. I don't know. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he makes plays when the ball's in his hands. I don't really have an explanation of why he's kind of disappeared. It's not like he's been dropping passes, or maybe defenses have been locking him down. We've seen Anthony Ferkser make a lot more plays in recent weeks than Jonnu. And big shout out to Ferkser. He got a couple big Ferks downs.
The counter was at 2. He got 2. And then there was one that was a debatable drop, but we won't talk about that one.
That was lame.
Ferkser.
Yeah.
So 2 Ferks downs on the game for those counting at home.
Yeah. So we have been seeing more of him than Jonnu Smith, surprisingly. So I don't know if it's a Arthur Smith play calling scheme, kind of the flow of the game kind of thing happening, but good to see him showing back up. It's good to remember the playmaking ability. Yeah.
Correct.
That he can bring.
I did want to bring something else up. I just wanted to get your opinion on it. I thought it was a genius move that Derrick Henry, I don't think, touched the ball for the last maybe 10 minutes of the game. It was when it was 24-3. The game was pretty much on ice. The Titans are playing prevent defense, frankly, and it seemed like they pulled Henry in favor of Deontay Foreman and Jeremy McNichols. I mean, Foreman did get more carries than McNichols in this game, going 5-2. But I thought it was a great move for them to pull Henry and not. Why would you put tread on his tires in a game that's 24-3? And, I was watching the game with a friend of mine who has him in fantasy. And of course he wasn't happy with Derrick Henry coming out of the ball game, especially with only 68 yards.
I have him in fantasy too. And this is the first time that, he's had this few of yards and without a touchdown.
Yeah.
So dud. But I didn't care. We were winning. So
exactly. And, the further in the season, the tractor Cito starts rumbling. Yeah, and he only gets better later in the year. So the fresher you can have him later in the year. I thought that was just a great call by the coaching staff.
He's been the workhorse. He's had like over 20 carries every single game, except for I think easily. Last week he had like 18, but that was probably a season low. And we were playing from behind, so naturally he couldn't carry the ball as much. But he's been chugging it. He's several games when he's gotten close to 30. I think he leads the NFL in rushing attempts by like 40 or 50 carries. So it's like, it's okay to put the foot off the gas when the game is pretty well in hand. I like Foreman and McNichols back there. I like keeping Henry fresh, and then they can come in and provide a nice burst for us. It's good to not have Henry just be the workhorse back, especially when you're getting to November and December games when it's crunch time and you want to keep Henry as fresh as possible. So I agree. I like it. I have no problem besides fantasy reasons, but
people always have problems with coaching decisions when it comes to fantasy. Yeah. But I don't want to harp on this too long, but I love that we finally get a change of pace compliment back to Derrick Henry. We did have DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry in those early years, but they were both kind of power, inside tackles, maybe, power O around that right or left side. But they had the same kind of running styles. And now, Deontay Foreman looks speedy out there. So does Jeremy McNichols. And they're kind of, shifty scat backs who can really hit the hole with a burst of speed. So it's kind of cool to actually have that change of pace back as opposed to Dion Lewis. Dion Lewis.
And they're doing what I think we expected, and we're hoping Darrington Evans would come in here and do, but he's been out with injury. Yes. But they've been a nice addition to plug and play, and I think we're getting Darrington Evans-like production that we were hoping for. Not really in the passing game, though. Neither of those running backs are helping. None of our running backs are helping us in the passing game at all.
Correct.
All three of them. And I think that's an element that Darrington Evans can bring when he does get back from injury. I don't know. I don't even care if he's going to miss the rest of the season. I mean, let's just shelf him for next year, get him healthy. This offense isn't in a desperate need for a pass-catching, situational running back. Which sucks because I would like to see him
get the screen going a little more. It feels like our screen game's been just totally non-existent this year. But
when we try it, it doesn't work. I feel like we don't have a good screenplay in the playbook to call or something. So I think we've gotten away from it because it hasn't been working. It's been a while since we've seen a screenplay. Just kind of changing things up. So hopefully Arthur Smith can bring something like that back. But we'll see. We know the Bears defense was great, but you'd like to see more consistent offense going forward. But hey, they've been carrying this team this far. It's okay if they want to have kind of a bad-ish game and let the defense pick up the slack. So that was good.
It's about time. The defense owed them one.
It was exciting. I was excited to see our defense play. I was like, they're dominating so well. I've never been like, okay, we're punting, but that's okay. Our defense gets to come back on. I can't wait to see who gets in Foles' face this time. That's the first time I felt like that the entire season. So it was nice.
Yeah, and I don't know if you watched Mike Vrabel's press conference yesterday, but he seemed unhappy with, you're going into the fourth quarter pitching a shutout, and then all of a sudden you have to recover an onside kick to win the game. He did not seem very thrilled with that.
We can talk about how it was kind of a lackluster closing of the game effort. But I will say they got a lot of help from the refs. My goodness, what So we had an Amani Hooker leading with his shoulder, and they called defenseless receiver. Something
That was I think that was the worst of the two, but
yeah.
both the roughing the passer and that were very.
And who was that? Was it Jack Crawford or I can't remember who it was.
Couldn't tell you, man.
But yeah, that they were both bad calls, and that would have brought up, I think, both times like a fourth down or something. So we likely are going to get one or two of those stops. But even so, like the defense did force a fumble late that Big Jeff recovered. Yeah. And then the offense just went 3 and out anyway and had to punt it again. So it's like
you would like to see him put it on ice there, or maybe kind of widen the gap. But again, this game was, yes, the Titans only won by 7, but they were in control for 3/4 of this ball game. It felt like after the A.J. Brown touchdown grab to go up 10-0, you said, okay, maybe they, if this defense can hold, now. Which they did, and we can breathe a little easier.
Especially at the end of the half, they had a drive going for them, and they got in our territory, but I think they had some penalties, and it ended up backing them up, and then they ended up not even getting a field goal. So it was like, all right, still shut out, still 10-0. I do feel good about this. Mm-hmm. No missed field goals from Cairo Santos. That's a big point to bring up.
I thought it was going to be a revenge game. I thought, we were going to see it one way or the other. He ended up just being 1 for 1, I think it was. So
and he did his job. Yeah, fine. I won't be bitter. I think I'll get over that Bills game from the last year eventually. But
quick rapid question for you. Speaking of the special teams in this game, is Brett Kern, Justin, on the hot seat?
No.
Is Brett Kern on the hot seat?
No. It depends on how bad this injury actually is. But Ryan Allen was fantastic. Yeah.
He was fantastic today. I thought he was great. And, I was watching the game saying, who, Brett Kern, who? What? But I kind of kid.
Sacrilege.
I kid, but hey. If he can hold field goals the way Gostkowski likes them, which, he didn't miss yesterday. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The field goal kicking looked good, too.
Something to look at.
If it just so happens that Kern is going to be out for the season because of this injury, my reaction will be, I love you, Kern. I'm so sorry, but I'm not worried about us missing a beat, really, in the punting or kicking game as far as this one sample size goes. Mm-hmm. As opposed to where before we saw this guy punting for us, we were like, Kern is out. This is going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
Whatever. So we've totally flipped on our thoughts about the punting game and special teams in general, man.
I thought they played a great game.
Shout out Khalif Raymond. It seemed like every time he had a punt return, it went for at least 10 yards. I think he had 3 punt returns for like maybe 50, close to 40 or 50 yards. Chris Milton made a huge tackle in special teams that ended up being brought back. I was pumped to see him fly down the field. It was a long punt, and he got the tackle immediately. Stuck him, but it was some kind of holding on us, some BS, whatever. But yeah, no missed field goals, no missed extra points. They have Cordero Patterson back there. He's one of the better kick returners in the league. He didn't have any long returns, so special teams on point. Huge bounce back from special teams and defense, what we did not get last week. And then the offense regressed. So we flipped, but, it's –
Hey, if Allen can stay punting the ball well, all the fans with Mariota jerseys can just tape over the back and make it Ryan Allen.
Right.
It was weird to see the number 8 out there punting the ball, but,
That's right. I didn't even – Man, I'd never even made that connection until now. Mariota's been like out of sight, out of mind for long enough to where I see a number 8 jersey, and it never even clicked until you just now said that. Oh, now it's hitting home. Oh no, Mariota's not coming back. It's over.
Yeah, Allen's gonna go out to punt. You're just gonna start crying next week. It's gonna be bad. Oh man! Yeah, but looking forward to next week, the Colts dropped their game against Baltimore, which was
forward
great.
In four games or 4 days.
Yeah. 4 days,
we have a quick
maybe not next week.
But sorry, I interrupted. Yeah, Colts dropped that game.
All good. Brilliant. So the Titans now have a 1-game lead in the division at 6-2. The Colts being 5-3. Huge game Thursday night against those Colts in Nissan Stadium. Justin, just looking forward, how do you feel about this game? What are you thinking? This defensive performance has me optimistic for this game against Phil Rivers because he's prone to make some mistakes also, Justin. And if this pass rush can do what they did today to Phil Rivers, I think
we can win. Yeah. I think
definitely win this.
That's going to be the key. Can this defensive line get that same consistent pressure against a better Colts offensive line? And we'll see if we can get Jadeveon Clowney back, which I'm fine with. I don't think him missing this game and Roberson coming in and playing probably all the snaps that he would have had that much of a difference in the success. Like, you still like Clowney, you still like the effort and the pressure that he brings, but
you saw more success without him. I mean, it's like the Browns offense and Odell Beckham. Are the Titans defense better without Clowney?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. But I think he would still help, at least as rotating in and out and giving guys a break. Like, you definitely want Clowney to be able to plug in there.
Totally.
So we'll see if he can go. If Adoree Jackson can go, that would be humongous as well. So again, it's going to be kind of the same thing where we're expecting a great defensive performance. Our offense, it's going to be hard to expect them to come out and just drop 30 points like they're prone to do against bad defenses. So you're going to have to get some stops. This defense has to get pressure on Rivers. And after this game, you have to feel more confident going into this Thursday night matchup. Like, if you're looking ahead after the Bengals game and then we got the Colts coming to town with this defense and lackluster and all this and that, you don't feel as confident as you do now after seeing that performance against the Bears. So I'm excited about it. Bring it on. This is a big time game, like you said.
For sure. I mean, the next 3 weeks are going to be very, very telling on how much, how high our blood pressure is going to be towards the end of December. We could have an early clinch miss. I mean, I'm talking way too far in advance here. The Titans only have a 1-game lead, and it could be erased on Thursday night. I'm not going to be picking against them. I will say that right now.
Yes. So, man, we're starting out good.
I will say that right now. Especially if Adoree Jackson's going to come back, that is only going to help things. And especially this defense finally saw a shot go in. Maybe they can start putting together more consistent performances, and you would love to see that too. So we have Indy at home, Baltimore on the road after the mini bye, and then Indy on the road as well. After these 3 weeks, we could see a very more clear picture in the AFC South. We could see even a muddier vision of the Titans in the AFC South.
And I think if you look at the Colts schedule too, they've got us and then Green Bay and then us, where we play Baltimore and then them twice. So these next 3 games are going to be tough for both teams to win. So whoever comes out on top in this 3-game stretch, that tough schedule is going to be on the right track to capturing the division. So this is what it's about, dude. Titans are 6-2, right in November, right in the thick of the AFC, on top of the division. It's a good time, dude, to be a Titans fan. Exciting stuff.
It is. The past 2 weeks have been so depressing. I feel like I've had a rain cloud above me without the Titans getting a win. And even though I was, Poop Pants McGee trying to pick against the Titans, it ended up producing a Titans win. So I'm sorry, Kenneth from Twitter. I'm sorry to you. He called me out big time. He said, "Don't let Jake go run and hide on that Zoom call. Call him out to his face," and you did. So shout out to Kenneth on Twitter. But you love to see this performance from the Titans. Very encouraging at the very least. I'm not trying to be that guy who says this Bears offense is really bad, but this Bears offense is really bad. But again, encouraging nonetheless.
Yes. I mean, this is, I don't care what offense we went up against. Like, we had to see our defense have the ability to stop a team from moving the ball down the field. And they did it several times. I mean, not only were they 0 for whatever on third downs, but a lot of these were obviously that would make sense. Like, I was going to say, a lot of these are 3 and outs too, So obviously, if you're getting 3 and outs, they're going to be 0 for on third down. But it's super encouraging to see that. So I don't know. Has he got anything else?
I think that's
coming up.
About wraps this one up. Look for the preview video coming a little earlier this week. Maybe not recording that one on Friday night.
We shouldn't release our preview for the game on Friday like usual. That would be a good idea.
That's probably going to be a good method of moving forward here. But let's go beat this Colts team. I think this is a very beatable Colts team, especially if this defense can replicate the performance like we talked about. And if this Titans team gets rolling towards the end here, sky is the limit. I think, I don't think this is – you got me talking about way too far in the future, Justin.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, I think the Chiefs are beatable.
Number one seed.
I would love to see –
Number one seed.
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
We'll see about all that when the time comes. Let's just focus on this Colts game, focus on the task at hand, and go get a win in Nissan Stadium on Thursday night. I'm so excited. Can't wait for the game.
Yeah. And I do want to be one of those fans real quick about, we're getting disrespected. We're getting disrespected. I saw like a headline on ESPN, and it was like a picture of the Steelers, and it was like, can Ravens, Bills, or Chiefs catch the Steelers? And it's like, we're 6-2. So are the Ravens. The Bills are 7-2. What about us? We can catch them. Come on, disrespectful.
And we have the tiebreaker on the Bills. I'm just saying.
Well, the Steelers have the tiebreaker on us. Maybe that's why they left us out. But who cares? We're right there. We're right there, right behind them too. Come on.
I'm just gonna say, I mean, other than Kansas City, really, nobody in the AFC kind of scares me. So we'll see if somebody can do the dirty work and knock out KC for us, and maybe the crystal ball gets a little clearer. I'm just saying. Just getting a big head after beating a hapless Chicago Bears team. Don't mind me. But anyways, let's go get this win against Indy. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. You know it. Justin, you got anything to take us to the barn?
Only thing is tighten up, people. 6-2. We can be 7-2 in 4 days. Make it happen. So super pumped.
Let's do it.
You guys take care. We'll see you in the preview video.
Sounds good. Peace.
Peace.